Good day, and welcome to Hiroshima University's English Podcast.
Welcome everyone, I'm Kay.
And I'm Joe.
And thanks for coming to our special drama podcast this month.
Kay, it's July now. And do you know what fun little festival there is in July?
Of course, Joe. Tanabata in English, that's the Star Festival.
Yes, the Star Festival, the summer festival of love.
Yeah, everyone likes love and romance.
And to get everyone in the mood for love, we have two famous poems by the British writer William Wordsworth. He is one of the most famous romantic British writers ever.
Oh, William Wordsworth. And why is this podcast special, Joe?
First of all, Wordsworth is high-quality stuff, Kay. All you men out there, if you can tell a girl that you know a little about William Wordsworth, the girl will be impressed.
Yeah, men need to be romantic sometimes. They cannot only be into sports and macho men.
That's right. And to all of you women out there, I think you will like William Wordsworth because he wrote a lot about the relation between the human mind and nature.
The human mind and nature. Things like flowers, lakes, rivers, and people. Everyone likes those topics.
Right. Today, Wordsworth is still a very important part of British culture. Almost all Brits know our two poems today, and he is studied in schools not only in England, but also in other formerly British countries, such as India, Australia, and New Zealand. Even I, an American, learned a bit about Wordsworth in school.
I see.
And a second reason why our podcast is good this month, Kay, is that we'll explain two of Wordsworth's poems in a very easy way.
Everyone likes things to be easy.
Yes. These two poems are very short, and they have pretty easy words, which are mostly used in daily conversation today.
Mostly daily conversation words.
And we'll explain all of the words to you in the audio podcast, so you probably do not need to look at the written text so much.
Sounds good. Ho, ho, ho. Joe, before we get into these poems, can you tell us a little about William Wordsworth himself?
Sure, Kay. William Wordsworth lived about 200 years ago.
Oh, in the early 1800s.
Yes, and one of the most special things about his life is that he lived most of it in the Lake District in northeast England.
Oh, the Lake District in England. I've heard of that.
If you like hiking, forests, and animals such as red squirrels, you really should spend a few days in England's Lake District. You won't regret it.
Red squirrels. リスのことですね. So cute.
And the Lake District is a little north of the cities of Liverpool and Manchester. So, if you like the music group The Beatles, or if you like soccer, you can hit a few birds with one stone.
日本だと一石二鳥ということわざがありますが、英語だと一石いくつか鳥という、たくさんの鳥をこう一個の石で投げれるということわざがあります。Hit a few birds with one stone.
Right. In other words, you can go to see the Beatles and the soccer and also Wordsworth, like that. William Wordsworth sometimes wrote about the Lake District. It was really important 200 years ago because Napoleon Bonaparte was causing lots of problems in Europe. And the Industrial Revolution was creating lots of pollution in London. So the Lake District was, and still is today, a place to get away from the craziness of people.
Yes, everyone loves nature.
Today, tourists can visit a couple of the houses Wordsworth lived in around the Lake District. They are really beautiful, traditional British-style houses. One place is called the Wordsworth House and Garden, and the other place which I recommend, is called Dove Cottage and the Wordsworth Museum.
A museum. So everyone can learn about his life.
Right.
So, Joe, can you tell us a bit about his family?
Sure. William was the second of 5 children in his family.
Lots of brothers and sisters.
Yes, especially his sister, Dorothy, who was 1 year younger than William, was very important. She also became a good writer and helped William with his poems.
Oh, a nice sister. Was the family rich or poor?
It was kind of rich.
Oh,
The father,
kind of.
right, not very rich, but not poor too. The father was a lawyer who helped a politician, so they had enough money. But the special thing about the family is that they put a lot of emphasis on education. All of the kids became leaders in society.
Oh, they were smart.
Right. And William became a successful writer. By the age of 23, with the publication of a group of poems called Lyrical Ballads, he figured out that he could make enough money writing poems, which is what he really liked.
Oh, lucky.
Another interesting thing is that when he was 20 years old, he walked around Europe.
What, he walked around Europe? Wow. What a great experience.
Yes. He especially spent time in the mountains of France, Switzerland, and Italy.
Cool. Going to other countries really improves life, I think.
Right. And one more important thing about Wordsworth is that when he was 25 years old, he became good friends with Samuel Coleridge, another very famous British romantic poet. Wordsworth and Coleridge worked together to make their writings even better.
Wow, working together with another person, that's a good way to be successful.
Yes, there's a lot more to Wordsworth's life, which you can read about on internet. For example, he got married, had 6 children, and lived until he was 80 years old.
Ooh, 80 years old. That's good, I think. And Joe, before we explain about our 2 poems today, I have an important question. So, what is poetry, and what is the difference between good poetry and bad poetry?
Good question, Kay. Of course, I'm not an expert in poetry, but William Wordsworth himself had a very famous definition of poetry. He said, "Poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. It takes its origin from emotion recollected in tranquility."
難しいのでちょっと日本語で説明すると、強い感情が自然にあふれ出たもので、静寂の中で思い出された感動の中から生まれるものであるという意味ですが、I don't even understand in Japanese.
But again, in English, it's not that hard, really. In English, he said, "Poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. It takes its origin from emotion recollected in tranquility."
Cool.
And with that, let's look at our 2 poems today by William Wordsworth. Kate, when you think of England, what exciting British city first comes to mind?
That would be London.
Right, Kay. And our first poem today is about London. It's called Composed Upon Westminster Bridge.
In Japanese, that's ウェストミンスターの橋の上で.
Westminster Bridge is a famous place in London. William Wordsworth and his sister Dorothy were on it one day and they got a beautiful view of London. The poem begins, "Earth has not anything to show more fair."
かくも美しい眺めが地球上にあるだろうか.
And then the poem says, "Dull would he be of soul who could pass by a sight so touching in its majesty."
That means if you pass by this beautiful sight and do not notice it, you are a dull, boring person.
Yes. Then it says, "This city now doth like a garment wear the beauty of the morning, silent, bare."
Doth is Old English meaning does. In other words, the city is wearing beautiful clothes and it is silent and bare. Joe isn't wearing clothes and being bare, naked. Opposite?
Yes, wearing a garment, clothes, and being bare is a kind of interesting paradox.
Paradox で逆説という意味です。
Yes, putting these opposite ideas, the city is wearing clothes and is bare, adds an interesting effect. Poets sometimes put opposite ideas in for effect.
I see.
Then the poem says, ships, towers, domes, theaters, and temples lie.
That means they are.
Open upon the fields and to the sky, all bright and glittering in the smokeless air.
That means the weather in London is very good. The sun is glittering, shining, and there is no pollution that day.
Never did sun more beautifully steep in his first splendor, valley, rock, or hill.
谷や岩や丘を朝日が照らす時にもこんなにも美しい眺めは生まれない。
Ne'er saw I, never felt a calm so deep.
So the city is calm, peaceful.
The river glideth at his own sweet will.
The river is moving, glideth, at its own speed, as it wishes.
Dear God, the very houses seem asleep, and all that mighty heart is lying still.
And with that, let's listen to Wordsworth's poem entitled Composed Upon Westminster Bridge.
Composed Upon Westminster Bridge by William Wordsworth. Earth has not anything to show more fair. Dull would he be of soul who could pass by a sight so touching in its majesty. This city now doth, like a garment, wear the beauty of the morning, silent, bare, ships, towers, domes, theatres, and temples lie open unto the fields and to the sky, all bright and glittering in the smokeless air. Never did sun more beautifully steep in his first splendour, valley, rock, or hill. Ne'er saw I, never felt a calm so deep. The river glideth at his own sweet will. Dear God, the very houses seem asleep, and all that mighty heart is lying still.
Well, everyone, how was it? Even a big city like London can be beautiful.
Yes, I want to go to London. Seriously, seriously.
Me too, okay? But first, we have our second poem, and this one is for nature lovers.
Yep, getting out into nature.
And it's called Daffodils.
Daffodils, of course, are 水仙ですね. And they're beautiful flower, usually yellow or white. They usually bloom in England in March and April.
So everyone, if you go to England at the end of next March, it will be a great time to see daffodils.
Oh, next March in England. Sounds good.
Actually, the official name of the poem is I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud.
In Japanese, that'll be 一人であてもなく歩いていたという意味になります。But that's kind of long, and it's a hard to remember name, so most people just call it Daffodils.
And the poem is really popular. A few years ago, a BBC survey found that it's the 5th most popular British poem ever.
Wow.
The poem begins, I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills.
Vales are an old way to say valleys. So, in the beginning of the poem, he is just wandering around. ブラブラしてるってことですね。
When all at once,
Suddenly,
I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils.
The word host is a poetic way to say an area has certain plants or animals. For example, Miyajima is host to a lot of deer.
And in the poem, he says a host of golden daffodils. There are a lot of them.
Then the poem continues.
Beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze.
To flutter is like ハラハラしてるとか、ヒラヒラしてるということですね。
Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way.
So the daffodils are shining, twinkling, like 天の川のような感じで。
They stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay.
Along the edge of the bay of a lake.
10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance.
So the flowers are lightly dancing.
The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee.
隣で湖の水も踊っていた。でも水仙の方がきらめく波よりももっと楽しげだったという意味です。
A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company.
Gay often means happy, and jocund is a poetic way to say cheerful or joyful. So here he says that all poets cannot avoid being happy when surrounded by such 大はしゃぎしてる仲間 jocund company. Company sometimes means friends or colleagues. The poem continues.
I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought.
So he's staring and staring at the flowers and does not realize the gift, the nice show, which the flowers are performing for him.
For oft, when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood.
Oft means often. He lays on his couch, his sofa, in vacant or in pensive mood. これはぼーっとしている、物思いにふけっているという意味ですね。
They flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude.
すると脳裏にたくさんの水仙が輝き始めて、それは孤独の中の至福の眺めだったという意味です。
And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils.
So he is very happy and dances with the daffodils.
Daffodils by William Wordsworth. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. Beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils.
So everyone, we hope you liked William Wordsworth's two poems, Daffodils and Composed upon Westminster Bridge.
Yes, if you go to the Lake District and London in the near future this next March, you can have a great time
Yay!
and learn more about these important parts of British culture.
Have a good 七夕 Keep having fun learning English, and we'll see you at the next Hiroshima University's English podcast.
Happy Star Festival.
Bye.